Welcome to all our participants and guests. I want to extend a warm welcome to each one of you to the South African Heritage Resource Agency's Heritage Month webinar 2023. I am both honored and excited to gather here with you from September 18th to the 21st as we embark on a journey through our heritage story. As we gather virtually, I encourage you to actively participate in all the engaging discussions and presentations that we have curated for you. Our speakers are well renowned in their respective fields and will offer insights into conservation management in South Africa. I extend my deepest gratitude to all our partners and the entire SARA team who have worked tirelessly to make sure that this webinar is a reality. Your dedication and support have been instrumental in bringing us together on this virtual platform. Thank you for being part of this remarkable journey, and let's make the next 4 days an unforgettable chapter in the ongoing narrative of South Africa's heritage. I'm now going to hand over to our program director, Mr. Tobani Sipoyo.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'd like to welcome you to the second day of our Heritage Webinar 2023. The topic for today is Heritage, Crime and Compliance. But before we start, I'd like to have some housekeeping. If you have any questions during each presentation, please use the chat box to forward your questions, and then they will be flighted after each presentation, where we will have a few minutes to have a discussion before the next presentation. Thank you. The first topic is Trends and Perspectives on Heritage Crime with Ms. Kim Ngobeni and Ms. Regina Isaacs. The first presenter will be Ms. Kim Ngobeni. Ms. Kim Ngobeni is a Heritage Officer of the Heritage Protection Unit. She's responsible for the conservation and preservation of the National Estate. Her major responsibility is to monitor and assess nationally declared sites. She also deals with community engagements regarding complaints from various communities. She's also key in implementing education outreach programs and the UP University of Pretoria SARA Heritage Seminars. She prides herself in being a TUX alumni, where she majored in Heritage Resources Management at a postgraduate level. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome Ms. Kim Ngobeni for the first presentation, and the topic is Trends and Perspectives on Heritage Crime. Kim, take it away. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Program Director. Is my presentation visible?
Yes, it is.
Yes,
Thank you very much.
All right. Good morning, colleagues. Thank you, Program Director. Thank you, Ben, for having this seminar. As introduced, my name is Kim Ngobeni from the Heritage Protection Unit, and I'll be discussing heritage crime, another pandemic that we are facing within the heritage industry. And as the SARA, which is responsible for the national estate, it is our duty to conserve and preserve and to make sure that all national heritage resources are protected and preserved for future generations. Just to give a brief background of the Heritage Protection Unit, we are responsible for giving administrative and monitoring support to all conservation management units. This includes the maritime underwater cultural heritage. This includes the built environment, the heritage objects unit, the burial grounds and graves, and the archaeology, paleontology, and meteorites unit. So the Heritage Protection Unit is responsible for making sure that we conserve all the heritage resources within the country. Within the Heritage Protection Unit, it is divided between the Grading and Declarations Unit and then the Inspectorate Unit. So basically, we deal with the formal protections where we grade and declare national heritage sites, making sure that all sites are conserved for future generations. according to Section 27. We also deal with the inspectorate side, where it is under Section 50, responsible for heritage inspectors. So that is the main responsibility of the Heritage Protection Unit. Under the inspectorate unit, according to Section 50, a heritage inspector may at any time inspect work being done under a permit issued in terms of this act, and may for that purpose at all reasonable times enter any place protected in terms of this act. So basically, we are responsible for all complaints that come to us. We deal with that. So that forms part of the inspectorate side. As an inspector, we undertake inspections for declared heritage resources. We respond to complaints, to permit contravention. We work closely with the SAPS and the Hawks to resolve heritage crime matters. And we also represent SARA in heritage protection awareness programs in partnerships with stakeholders like the National Heritage Council, South African World Heritage Sites Advisory Committee, Freedom Park, and other sister bodies. So in terms of today's topic, heritage crime, the basic definition of heritage crime is defined by common law and heritage law. Looking at the legislation of Botswana, Lesotho, Malawi, Namibia, South Africa, Swaziland, Tanzania, Zambia, and Zimbabwe, heritage crime in Southern Africa can be broadly defined as theft within the context that all archaeological, paleontological, and meteorite material belongs to the state, illegal excavation of or removing heritage objects from their original sites without a permit. This also includes vandalism, destruction, or alteration of heritage objects and sites without a permit, including protected buildings and rock art. Heritage crime also includes the import and export of protected heritage objects without a permit. Also, heritage crime is a hugely under-researched field in the Southern Africa. Heritage sites can be a subject of crime as any other immovable property. However, the cost harm is often greater because of the additional socioeconomic values it carries. Compromising the integrity of cultural heritage sites as a crime against public interest, order, health, morality, or external environment. So in a nutshell, basically heritage crime relates to everything that is illegal in terms of the heritage legislation. In terms of the Heritage Protection Unit, these are some of the cases we worked with regarding heritage crime. This is the first case for the Bethel graves, where there were people doomed graves looking for treasures. So a case was opened and one of the perpetrators was arrested. So it helps in terms of building heritage statistics. So this is one of the cases that we as the Heritage Protection Unit come across, and they are very, very diverse cases that we deal with on a daily basis relating to heritage crime. Another one, the renowned Paul Kruger statue. This relates to the vandalism of heritage resources within the precinct. This is a case that we all are aware of and have dealt with comprehensively. Another case that we face, we construct and build memorials and they steal fences that we have erected. We also have another case where it's a national heritage site. The owner who stays there currently decided to extend the house without notifying SARA, without a permit, which automatically is a crime because of this been granted, and it distributes the state of the heritage resource, and as it has been declared in the first slide, that we declare national heritage sites. So this is a site that's been extended from SARA. We also dealt with metal detect, where dig for. So these are some of the cases that we deal with. Hence, I'm trying to make them very diverse. Case is different. We deal differently with heritage cases because of not each case is the same. I have another case where literally houses on top of grave. If you can see those that were made from the stones that were, even see here, they even made the paving from the tombstones that were there. So of how does one on top of really build a wall, those very same that were from graves. So kind of cases that we deal with on a daily basis, limited to this, but very diverse. We also have which mystery, and also on an international level, we know that by British colony when they and stole some of Benin in London, and the Benin bronzes were sold to museums. Majority of the German nationals called to back to Nigeria. So this is not only even international heritage crimes into vandalism, both. Is the lack of monitor online sales. So when these thefts occur and they sell these things online, we would be notified usually that on Facebook or somewhere that they are selling this kind of artifacts. Sarah, we would have to do a follow-up. So you cannot always be online to monitor such. Also, the lack of human resources. Yearly, we have our annual inspections that we do at nationally declared sites to monitor the state of the heritage resources. And we find that at times the state is in disrepair, so that we need to know what's happening on those heritage sites. Hence, the went on site and we found that they are extending, and to our knowledge that they don't know that they should have applied for, which we don't really know if that's the truth. Also, the lack of knowledge and understanding of the heritage legislation. So we come across challenges where people really don't know about the heritage legislation. They cry ignorance, but at times we have to open cases, work with the SAPS to ensure that our legislation is really put into effect. And also the lawlessness, as I said, some people really don't care, as we saw in the previous slide, where people are staying on top of graves. They literally built a wall with those stones from those graves. They made a paving with the tombstones that were on the graves. So people sometimes they don't care. They really don't care. Also, what can be done? Online for police officers, we really need to work with the SAPS because of at times you find that they are not really aware of the heritage law as such, or it is not prioritized as such. Hence, we are having so much cases to deal with, even you need to drag it. They are not sure how to deal with it. Also, we need to do heritage outreach programs. We need heritage workshops where we would go out and educate the community, because at the end of the day, it is their heritage. And if they don't take care of it, no one will. So it is their responsibility to know their heritage resources and to know that as SARA, we exist. Because of mostly people say, it's the first time I hear of SARA. We never knew that SARA exists. So also the lack of awareness needs to be addressed in terms of having workshops. Also, to prevent the crime, we need to have signages. We need to include more training and guidance within the governmental departments and just the community at large. And also to bring together interested parties to identify partnerships and opportunities across heritage and because of SARA, we cannot do it alone. We need to work together to ensure that people are aware that there is such a thing called heritage crime. There is the NAT. Understand that if you are consequences to create online and physically go in these campaigns for the community is really a must. As I was emphasizing, the importance of workshops and public engagements to ensure that the communities participate and are aware of the heritage resources. We declare sites, it gets into disrepute so that they are not aware. And it's like, okay, it is heritage. So they really don't have that much resources. So we deal with in a nutshell. I think that is it. So much, Program Director.
Thank you very much, Kim, for such an informative and amazing